locked me in that room. And he nailed all the windows shut. And now he put me in here. I don't know what's happening.
It's gonna be okay. Okay, you have to trust me. Look at me. Look, I know hope seems lost. And I get that. But we're gonna get out. Until then, just prayers and some encouragement to God. Just pray that he hears our cries.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? We back with another live.
Yeah, another Friday.
Yes. We're gonna once again. We're still doing the transcripts, and we're gonna be talking about Adrian. She was the third wife, was supposed to be, right? The
Yes,
third wife, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna get into her testimony tonight. It's gonna be a good one. I'm gonna just tell y'all right now, we're gonna do another part. That's how much it is. So hopefully, yep.
So tonight
all right, Chris,
we're
gonna
be tonight we're gonna be covering some facts. Fact number one that we're gonna cover is that the scene that you just saw, Adrian was not kidnapped and locked in another room beside Laura. So that's fact one. That's not true. Fact two, in her testimony, she's going to discuss how she pursued our father. Our father did not pursue her. Fact three, she's going to discuss how she willingly went into a second polygamous relationship. She was already in a polygamous relationship, so she was not a fool when it came, to being in polygamy. Fact four, she's going to discuss how bad Laura's behavior was in the house. In fact, five, she's going to be discussing how Laura was spending up everybody's finances in the house. And, we're going to get into how she discussed as well in her testimony how all the adults in the house was able to eat, but she rarely saw any of the children in the house eat.
And we mean children, we mean dad kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All of Musa's kids is what she testified to, is that she never saw her mother really hardly even in the kitchen cooking, because she said Laura occupied the kitchen more than anybody in the house. So for a person that has been stating on a tour of over 20 years that they were starved, beaten, held captive, held hostage, we've dissected a bunch of transcripts, and there's more to come. But this one stands out really to me. And me and Rick was discussing this during the week, just some things that we read that we hadn't been able to get to. And so that's why he stated it's going to be a second part, because it's a lot. It's going to be a lot of reading, stopping and going, explaining information. And then not just that, anybody that want to comment, just tune in. It's going to get really interesting tonight.
Yeah. So and this first part is going to be with Julie.
Yes. So we're gonna start off with Julie cross-examining Adrian, and so we're gonna start off with. Can you hear me, Rick?
Yeah, I hear you. It's all good. I hear you. Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna start off with Julie cross-examining Adrian. And so Adrian is going to take the stand now. So she was called as a witness by and on behalf of the people. Having been first duly sworn in, she was examined and testified, direct examination. So here we go, you guys. Miss Baldwin says, "Good morning" to Adrian. And she says, "Good morning." She says, "Do you know a person by the name of Mansa Musa Muhammad?" And Adrian says, "Yes, I do." And Julie asks Adrian, "Do you see him here in the courtroom today? And she says, yes. Can you tell us where he is sitting and something he is wearing? So Adrian says, over there in the brown shirt and tie. And then Ms. Baldwin says, Your Honor, may the record reflect that the witness has testified the defendant, whose Musa Muhammad, is seated in the courtroom. So the judge states yes. So Julie says, thank you. Then Julie goes on to ask Adrian, when did you first meet the defendant in this case? And Adrian states she met him in 1990. She says in 1990, and Adrian says yes. She says, okay, how was it that you first came to meet him? She said through mutual friends. Now we're going to stop right there. When she mentioned mutual friends, she did not meet our father through a mutual friend, because I think we've all discussed before that we lived out on a property out in Riverside, and it was off and on that we was living there with a whole community filled with Muslim people. The individual that our dad befriended is homeboy from outer space, and we spoke about him before. He had 3 wives. He had 2 right-hand possessions, and then he had 2 other women, and I don't know what they was called, but just that was his way of how he practiced Islam. There was children that lived out there. There was other families that lived there, and we was one of the families that lived there. So Adrian did not meet our father through a mutual friend, because the friend that she's talking about is one of her polygamous husbands that she was in a polygamous relationship with and had a child with this guy. This is the same guy that our mother is currently in the relationship with. Okay, you follow me, Rick?
Yeah, I'm following.
I know it's difficult, but
it's some twisted stuff
it's
going
a puzzle
on. But
of stuff.
yeah.
Okay. And where were you living at that time? She said they called it Woodcrest. They did not call it Woodcrest. She knew the exact name of it. Why she didn't want to give the exact name of the place up, that baffles me, you know. Okay. And when you first met the defendant in this case, did you also get to know the other members of his family? She said not all of them. Okay, so some of them you knew. She says yes. Okay, did you know his first wife? She says yes. Did you know his legal first wife? She says yes, I did. And when you first had met the defendant in 1990, you said you met him through mutual friends. Is that right? She says yes. Okay, did you also attend the church that he did? She says yes, it was on the property.
Church, I thought it was Muslim, but anyway.
Well, you know, in
They know how to,
in the white man's court system, you know, they call everything church. So
yeah.
Okay, and when you met him, did you see him frequently or just once in a while? She said first it was once in a while, and then it was more. Okay, and at that time that you met him in 1990, were you married? She says, was I married? This is what Adrian said. And Julie says, yes. Adrian says, no. She says, okay, at some point, did you get married to somebody besides Mr. Muhammad? She says, yes. And who was that? She said, that was my son's father. Now, she says, okay, and what's your son's father's name? She said, my son's father's name is Muhammad. And does he also go by the name Muhammad? She says, yes. Okay, and his father's name is what? She says, Muhammad as well. Okay, now Adrian was married to, like I mentioned before, homeboy from outer space. So she was well aware of polygamy and the polygamous relationship, because she was 16 years old. And during that time, I recall that he was going out with her mother and going out with her at the same time. And that's what caused a rift in some of the things that took place. But we'll get into that one later because we all found out about that. And who was that? That was my son's father. Okay. How long were you married to your son's father? Adrian states 1.5 years. Okay. And then what happened after 1.5 years? She said, we just parted ways. Okay. You just parted ways for nothing. You just went on and parted ways for nothing. She said, we just went on our own. She says, okay, was this a marriage that was recognized by California law? She states, no, it wasn't. Okay, you were married to him through the Muslim faith, right? She says, yes. Okay, and after you had parted ways from your son's father, did you marry anyone else? She says, no. Okay, did you subsequently have another child? She says, yes. Who was that child? She states she had a daughter. And who is the daughter's father? She states his name. And how long were you involved with this individual? She states 1 year. Okay, and after you have parted ways with Mr. Such and such, did you come back into contact with the defendant in this case? She says yes. And what were the circumstances surrounding that as far as why? She says, I was kind of tired, of being by myself. I was wanting someone that, where I could have a long-term relationship with, that I could be in a long relationship with. That's what I was looking for. She says, Julie says, okay. And at that time, had you had more contact with Mr. Musa Muhammad here over the years while you were married or involved in these relationships with other gentlemen? She said no. She says, okay, so whose idea was it for you then to reacquaint yourself with Mr. Muhammad after you parted ways with your daughter's father? She said it was her idea. It was my idea. Okay. So how was it your idea? She said, well, the co-wife she was the legal wife in my Muslim marriage that I had. And she told me that she had ran into Musa in the grocery store and that Musa had took her and her 8 grandchildren and gave them a ride from the grocery store back to the house. That's when I discovered that she had ran into Musa again. Okay, can you tell us who such and such is? She says, I've known her since I was 14 years old. I know who she's talking about. This is the lady that was a close friend of our family that she helped us out. She was a good person. She really helped all of us out. I can say that. Nobody's perfect, but, she did the best she could in helping all of us out, She said, can you tell us who this person is? She said, I've been knowing her since I was 14. Okay. She was once my co-wife. Okay. She was what? She says, once my co-wife. She is married to my son's father. Okay. So prior to meeting Mr. Musa Muhammad in this case, were you already a Muslim? She says, yes. Okay.
Okay. So hold on a second. So homeboy out of space was married to her and to the family friend, right?
Homeboy from outer space was married to the lady that we've discussed before on this podcast, me and all your siblings when this case first happened. He was married
and also,
to her. She was his only legal wife. And then he had,
so that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, she was his only legal wife. He had 2 other wives, and I know them really well. He had 2 right-hand possessions, who was Adrian's mother, and another woman who was a right-hand possession. And then each of those women had daughters. One of them was Adrian, one was another girl. So I'm not gonna mention that, but it was a total of 7 women.
So
That he
what
was
I'm getting at is that
he was involved with 5, but potentially was going to get involved with these 2 other girls that was
yeah, but what
daughters.
I'm yeah, I understand. But what I'm getting at is that what I'm trying to point out is that he was married to the family friend, also Adrian,
Mm-hmm.
and her mother, or whatever was going on with that, and now our mom.
Right. And
Okay,
see,
that's
the thing is
crazy.
that we had discussed, which we'll get deeper into, that they do some strange stuff. And since I've known some of them, they do some really weird, strange stuff that is not even Quranically speaking or even up under the Muslim teachings of how you get into relationships with people. It's like they make up a way that they can make a beeline to go get in a marriage with somebody, and they make an excuse. Like
Okay,
homeboy from outer
yeah,
space, I heard from a lot of our siblings that he told our mother, if it don't work out between me and you, I'm gonna go get with one of your daughters. Now that's sick because
that's
this
sick.
happened.
But he did that with
Adrian,
he did that.
Adrian,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think what it did to her and her mother, I think it put a dent in her and her mother's relationship kind of a bit because you got to look at Adrian being this young. I'm trying to figure out how old she was till today, being this young girl, and then all of a sudden you married to this older 50-something-year-old woman, and then you get into a relationship with a girl that's 18, 19 years old, have a child with her. And I knew some of the things behind why she left him because she told us, but we'll get into that later, probably into the second part tomorrow. But okay, and is it your understanding that in the Muslim religion men can have more than one wife? She says yes. And you have been involved in a relationship where a man has had multiple wives, including you previously. She says yes. And you have been involved in a relationship where a man had up to 3 wives and several other women. Is that correct? She says yes. Yes, that is correct. Okay. And the co-wife you said was one of your co-wives at the time. She says yes. And where did this co-wife live? She said they and the co-wife stayed in Moreno Valley. She says, okay, when you were her co-wife or when you were a co-wife to her, did you reside in the same house? She says, yes. And did she also have children? She said, no. Okay, so you said that the co-wife had decided that you could go to Los Angeles with her after she had told you that she ran into Musa. She said that is
Hmm.
correct. And did you decide that you wanted to go and meet Musa freely? She says, yes. I had asked, and she told me they were going, and I wanted to go because I wanted to see his wife, and I also wanted to see his children. Okay, and was the defendant with you at the first time? She had called them and asked them, was it okay that I came along? And they said yes. She had told them that I wanted to meet with them and see them.
Hmm.
And so he came by the house and picked us up, came by the co
Yeah,
wife's house and picked
yeah,
them up. And you
but
did go to Los Angeles with them, right? Yes. Okay. And is that around the time when you consider yourself to be dating or involved in a relationship with Mr. Mansa Musa Muhammad? She said, no, no, not then. Okay, tell us, why would you form an interest into a married man? She said, well, he was a Muslim man and I didn't know if he was into polygamy or not. So I went just to discover if he was into polygamy or not. Tell us about how things progress. Tell us about how things progress from the time you got acquainted with him when you went to Los Angeles. And Adrian says, well, we were talking, all of us were talking. It was his wife, his legal wife, and my ex co-wife and me. We were talking, we were going shopping and everything. And before that, we had called it intentions. We got intentions. It took to know each other. Boy, this stuff is like.
But that's not what Laura said.
This is
But
not.
we'll get
This is
into
not.
that.
This is not. If you're paying attention, the audience to a lot of viewers that been saying, especially one specifically on TikTok, that been saying that he locked Laura in the garage in chains. We repeated to you again, she was not locked in the garage in chains, and nobody found her locked in the garage in chains, and nor was Adrian. Okay, and
Yeah,
Adrian
this
knew.
movie, this Hollywood. It's all Hollywood. You
Yeah,
know, it's not real.
yes, and so that's why we're giving you the truth. Its intentions, that words that you just used, is that a word that is used in the Muslim religion? She says yes. Okay, like courtship. Is that right? She says yes. Okay, so that was the agreement then, sometime around that period, that you and the defendant in this case were going to have a courtship, right? She says yes. Okay, and during the courtship, did you continue to live by yourself, or did you move in with him? Eventually, I moved in with him. Okay, and at that time, was your son and your daughter your only children? She says yes. And did you take your children with you? She says yes, I did. When you moved in with Mr. Muhammad, yes. Okay, and at the time that you moved in with Mr. Muhammad, how long had you known him roughly? She said from 1990. You mean, yeah. Putting it all together, about 6 months we had been back in contact with each other to put it all together. Okay, so you met him in 1990. She says, yeah. And then do you know what year it was when you, let me get me another paper, when you eventually moved in with him? She says it was 98. She says, okay, so 6 years maybe, right? She says, no, it was longer than that. Okay, I think you said 6 months that you got reacquainted with him, right? Yes. I mean, as far as contact, that's what Adrian says. And Julie asks, okay, but you had kind of known who he was from the beginning, because you had known him since 1990. She says, correct. I had known him from 1990, but we lost touch and I got reacquainted with him. Okay. And how long did the courtship between you and Mr. Muhammad last? She says about 3 months. All right. What happened after that 3-month period passed? We had our marriage ceremony. And where did that take place? In Desert Hot Springs, in the house on Chola. Okay. Is that the first property that you moved in with Mr. Muhammad and his family? Yes. Okay. What was on Chola Drive? Yeah, that was on Chola Drive. She says yes. And you said 1998. Is that correct? Yes. When you first started living with Mr. Muhammad, how were things between the two of you? Did you get along? She says yes, we got along great. Okay, did you feel that he treated your children well? She states, yes, he treated my children very well. Okay, at some point after your marriage ceremony, did you notice whether anything changed? She says, yes. Okay, can you tell me about that? He started accusing me of trying to poison him.
We know where that all came from. We talked about that.
This is funny. She said he started accusing me of trying to poison him. At first, I was allowed to cook big meals for everybody. Then he started accusing me of trying to poison him. So he didn't want me fixing meals anymore for him or his family. Now, where that came from, because
Yeah, Laura.
yeah, from two Delulu people, Laura and Musa, where that came from is that Laura would play around with him and tell him that she was going to poison his food.
Yep.
So it was no offense, to be honest with you, with Adrian. He just felt that way because of Laura saying it so much that she gonna put. Laura would say all types of stuff she was gonna do to people, and he took it serious. And just to protect himself and his family, he didn't want Adrian cooking for him. no more. But it didn't have anything to do with her. It had something to do
Yeah.
with what Laura did. Because I can't tell you this, Adrian did cook for us. Okay, she did. She cooked for everybody in the house. Now Laura took that portion of Adrian's testimony and she used it in the
In the
movie,
movie.
like she
Yeah.
was cooking for us. She was one person that none of us, I mean, like Sharon said in her interview, this lady never gave us a crumb. A crumb. And you would get in trouble. Do you know what would have happened to us if we took food from her? We would have been in serious trouble, you know?
Mm.
At some point, okay, let me go back down. She said, so I didn't cook for him and his family anymore. At the time, I had a back injury and we would do studying, and me sitting on the floor would hurt my back. And he was going to leave one particular time. And I told him, I said, well, my back is hurting me. I'm going to go take a nap. And so he came in and brushed me and said, you're just mad because I'm taking Laura, meaning Salima. Her name was Salima. You're just mad because I'm taking her out. This is what he said to me. And I said to him, I am not angry that you're taking Laura out. I think she must have told you that. And he said, you're right. Laura stated that you were angry because she was taking me out and not her. And then she says, I just went into the room to take a nap. I didn't really care what Laura was telling him or what he was repeating or talking about. I just left and went in the room to take a nap. Sorry, that was another thing. Then we began in the house a lot. He wouldn't let you go out. So I said, well, can I sit out on the patio? And yes, he did let me go out a lot because my thing was sitting out on the patio. And so he's like, yeah, that's fine. But then I would come in and I would hear him snickering, saying some things like, I was looking at the guy in the back apartment. Then I found out later that Laura had told him that I was looking at other men. You heard this, Rick?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, so his demeanor towards you started to change. Yes, and partially his demeanor started to change is because Laura was blowing smoke in his ear about me. Okay, now you said that everybody was home. See, Julie didn't even elaborate or go into that. You know? Okay, now you said that everyone was home at the house quite a bit on Chola Drive. Is that correct? She says, yes. Okay. There were how many adults living at the home during that time? She says 4. Okay. Who was that? She says it was his legal wife. It was Salima and me. Okay. And was okay. Yes. And who is Karen? She said, Karen? No, her name is not Karen. Her name is Sharima. That's the name my mom went by. And Salima. Okay, which is Laura. Okay. Now, out of all these people, did everybody work outside the home? She says no. But Musa did have a couple of businesses where he was selling jewelry, women's garments, incense, and he was selling different types of kufis and men's attire. What was the family doing for money? She said, I had workers' comp. Musa had some type of pensions and Social Security, and he also had a couple of incense businesses and some things going on with Veterans Affairs. And Salima, I believe she had a check she was getting for her son, a SSI check, and she was also receiving welfare. Okay, so everybody was on some type of state assistance. She said that I knew of. Okay, and you said you had workers' comp payments that was coming in, right? She says, yes, from me injuring my back. Now, before you moved in with Mr. Muhammad, you had your own bank account. I assume. She says, yes. Did you have credit cards? Adrian says, no. And Julie says, okay, did you have a checking account? Adrian says, no, I had a savings account. Okay, I had one savings account. Okay, and when you moved in with Mr. Muhammad, did you keep your savings? She said, yes, I did. Okay, was he added on to it at all? Yes. Okay, and whose idea was it to have Mr. Muhammad added on to your account? Well, it was my idea to have him added on my account because it was my bank account. So because I was having issues with the injury that I was having from falling and I was pregnant, it was hard for me to move around or to even leave the house that much. So I made it so he would be able, I made it so that he was placed on the account so he would be able to go into the account and remove funds. Now, let me ask you a question to everybody that's saying that Adrian was kidnapped. Do that sound like a kidnap victim?
Nope.
Okay.
That's not Laura. Laura on the show, that small documentary. What is it called? No One Can Hear You
No one can
Scream.
hear you scream.
Yeah, she stated that dad went to pick her up by himself and kind of, but
She
that's
said
not
he
what
went.
happened.
Yeah, she said he ran to Los Angeles in the pickup truck and came back with another lady and threw her in the
Yeah,
room.
yeah,
Because
that's not what
you
happened.
can hear the lady with the clip you just played at the beginning screaming, saying somebody help me. And the lady had a little boy with her. The boy looked like he was about 9 or 10. That right there, that's crap. That didn't even happen.
Yeah, that didn't happen at all.
Lifetime looks stupid for putting that crap up in there. And when you moved in, oh, excuse me. Well, it was my idea to put him on my account. And with your injury at that time, were you comfortable getting in the car and going out very often? No, I was not. That's why I didn't hardly go anywhere. Okay, now you had said at some point the defendant would tell you that you could not go outside. Is that right? No, he never told me I could not go outside. When I had an appointment one time, he made a snarl remark that you could get there yourself. What kind of appointment was this? It was a doctor's appointment, okay? It was for my pregnancy and for my back. So at some point after you became Mr. Muhammad's third wife, you got pregnant. She says, yes. And did you have that baby? Yes, I did. And when was that baby born? She was born blank, blank, blank. I ain't even gonna say.
Right.
Okay. Now tell me about the residence that you lived in with Mr. Muhammad on Chola Drive. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 2-car garage. It had also an office space that they had turned into a bedroom. It had a large kitchen and a large patio and a large living room. And everybody was living inside the house there, right? And Adrian says, yes. She said, okay, can you tell us what you remember about the living arrangements? She said, when I first got there, I slept in the living room area, and then he decided to put me in the master bedroom. So Mr. Muhammad took you out of the living room and put you in the master bedroom. Yes, he gave me him and his wife's master bedroom and their master bathroom. And then he removed the children out of their bedroom, the boys and the girls, and crammed them in a small living room. And Laura was placed in the girls' bedroom. Okay, so you were in the living room at first, and then you had your own room. And where was the children? The children both was with me. My children was with me. And then you went to the master bedroom. Yes. Was that by yourself also? Yes. That was with me and my children. When you said that the defendant started changing after you got married, was that when you were still living on Chola, or did that not occur until you got to Wanga? That was when we started living on Chola. That's when we were living in that home in Palm Springs. Okay. And now at some point, you all left the Chola residence. Is that correct? Yes. And you went to Wanga. Yes. Could you tell us what the living arrangements was like? Well, I didn't know what the living arrangements was going to be like. All I knew is that Laura had told me she found a home up in Awanga.
There it is right there. We've been saying that stuff. We've been saying that. She found that home up
Boy,
there.
I tell you, this lady found a home and put all us up in Awanga like that. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I wonder why she here.
Could you tell us what the living arrangements was like when you got there? The living arrangements were supposed to be that I get a bedroom with the bathroom, and Laura gets the bathroom and bedroom across from mine, and then him and his wife would have the master bedroom, and then he was supposed to put all of his kids in the garage. Rick,
Wait, see.
how do that sound? How do that sound? How do that sound?
He gonna put his kids in the garage.
Testifying to this stuff. You're testifying to this stuff. That is foul. You wanted a bedroom with a bathroom, and then Laura gets a bedroom with a bathroom. Then the legal wife, who's our mom, gets a bedroom with a bathroom, and you put the kids in the garage.
Let's make this clear. Musa's kids only.
You put all Musa's kids in the garage? That's what you do? Put us in the garage? Do that sound right? Who testifies like that? They told you they were some selfish women. And mom should have had stepped up when that stuff was going on too, that the both of them was up there doing that, because bottom line, like I said before, and we stated in other interviews, they weren't even supposed to be living in our home. They wasn't. They were supposed to have their own domains. They was not supposed to be even living in our home for a lot of reasons, I could tell you. They was not supposed to be doing that. And when you said that the defendant, okay, excuse me, let me go back down to the bottom where I was at. And all the children were supposed to go in the garage. What children were supposed to go in the garage? All of Musa's kids. Is that how it ended up happening? No, it did not. Can you tell us what happened? He started saying that Laura was having a fit about where she was sleeping at, and that she was kicking the wall and was cussing him out and telling him to tell me that she's getting the bedroom with the bathroom in it. And I told him, I said, well, why do every time you come to me, you're telling me everything that Laura wants. Laura wants this. Laura wants that. Laura wants to change this. Laura wants to change that. Laura wants the kids to go here. Laura wants the kids to go there. She said she got so sick of him telling her things that she would say that she would just tune it out. So when I was like, forget it then, and we ended up sleeping in the living room area, one on one side and one on the other side. She got the two big sides of the garage, and I got the smaller side of a room that was out there. We purchased refrigerators, and Musa purchased paint and did a little installation on the floor and laid carpet down, and then we bought beds. Okay, did you go to the garage? Now, be mindful. To make this stuff and these transcripts look a certain way, Julie, as a prosecuting attorney, she kept saying garage, 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 garage over and over again. They wasn't garages.
Yeah,
she kept saying that over and over again, so that way it would make them say garage, garage. We lived in the garage, garage. Okay. Did you want to go to the garage? No, I did not. Okay, so was this a big garage? It was a room connected on to the 2-car garage on one side. And I was on the single side where the entrance door was at, leading out to the outside area. And you said you were on the single side, right? Yes. Okay. And on the inside of the garage, was there a wall between where you and Laura stayed? Yes, there was. But that wall appeared like it was already there, like someone had cut a door hole out and then sealed it back up. Now, when you first got out to the garage, did you have a bed out there? Yes, I did. Did you have a refrigerator? Yes, I did. Did you have heating system? Yes, I did. Did you have plenty of food? Yes, I did. Were you able to come in the house whenever you want to? Yes, I could. Was Laura able to come into the house whenever she wanted to? Yes, she could. And where did the children sleep? They slept in beds. Musa had bought twin beds for them and they slept in beds. Excuse me, my son wasn't there. So Adrian's son wasn't with us. He left. He only lived with us for about 2-3 months. He got sent back to his father's family. Excuse me, my son wasn't there. My son left. I sent him to stay with my husband's family. So he wasn't there. Okay, so you just had your daughter there with you. Is that correct? Yes. What happened to your son? Well, he had a problem with my son's father. I don't know if they had a falling out before or whatever, but he had a problem with my father's son because of what his father was. And what was his father? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Who had a problem with him? Musa did. Okay, now you said that at first Musa treated your kids right. Is that correct? Yes, he always treated my kids right. Okay, what happened or did you start to notice his behavior changing? This had nothing to do with Musa. I just feel like it has something to do with him feeling displaced from his family. So this happened at Chola. And when this happened, I had my son removed and sent to his father's family. And what kinds of things would your son do? He would go to the what kinds of things would Musa do for your son? He would go and take him to the doctors, or he would go and take him sometimes with us to the grocery store. And then at some point he kept calling the house a lot. Who kept calling the house a lot? Musa would call the house a lot. He was constantly on his cell phone all the time, calling the house a lot, saying he needed to check up at the house on his wife and kids because Laura be tripping. Look at Rick's face.
This is crazy. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
like,
because Laura be tripping at the house. So he would call and said that his wife told him that my son was acting up. Okay, and this was on a trip when you guys went to the grocery store? Yes. Okay, and was anybody else with you? No, it was just me and Musa that was out at the grocery store. I had to grab some groceries. Okay, and you said that he was constantly on his cell phone calling the house. Is that right? Why was Musa constantly on his grocery store? He said he was afraid that Laura was going to do something to his family because she had a history of making threats to him concerning his family. One of the biggest threats was turning on the gas. And Musa said, if you turn on the gas and the gas ignite, that would kill his whole family.
There it is right there, yo. We said this so many times.
This is crazy.
But she claiming to be a victim, right? Laura claiming to be a victim, right? It's crazy.
And he said he had to hurry up and get home before she started tripping or going off. And he said that there was times in the house where he had to stay awake at night and keep his eye on Laura. Did he tell you that often that he had to keep an eye on Laura? Yes. How many times a day when you were out with him, like at the store, would he call the house to check on everybody? I couldn't give a specific number, but it was a lot. But didn't she just say she didn't leave the house that much? But she's asking you every time that you would go out with him, how often would he get on the phone to have to call home? And this stuff that Julie is really asking her, I don't think is even relevant, because I'm gonna be honest with you. My daughter is a college student, and she didn't go live in the dorms. She lived at home. But if me and Hannah were out of town, like we out of town right now, we call the house and check up on the house, and check up on her. And I'm just like, I don't see where the crime is at, calling your own home.
Yeah.
Checking up on your family. I just don't get it, especially if you got a nut that likes to turn on the gas in the house, Okay. And did anyone else that you know of call consistently to Musa's cell phone? Yes, his wife would call and ask him for things that she needed from the store if he was out. And did anyone else that you know of have a car or access to a car in the house? Yes, Laura had a vehicle. So after that call, see, she skipped that. She going to something else.
Yeah, she don't want to hear about that.
She don't want, because Julie sat up in the interview and said nobody had a car.
Sure did.
Well, that's a lie, because she did have a car. That's not true. So after that call he received from his wife indicating that your son was acting up, what happened? I was like, well, let's go. And he said, I don't know. So we got done shopping and went back to the house. Okay. And what happened when you got back to the house? When I got there, my son had a pile of crackers in front of him, and I asked him what happened. And he told me, he said that he don't know. He said that he told Musa's wife that I'm not going to eat what you cook because my mom feeds me and I don't eat what everybody else eat. Okay. And was he eating crackers at that time when you saw him? No, he wasn't. He was just stacking them on top of each other. He was just sitting with them. Did he tell you what? Did he tell you that he was hungry? No, he did not say he was hungry. He didn't say anything. He just said that he didn't want to be bothered and that he wanted to stack the crackers on top of each other. Okay, now, before you started living with Musa, how was he as a child, your son? He was a good kid. I taught him how to fix the baby's bottle because his sister was a baby. He would fix her bottles. I had the refrigerator set up to where the bottle part was for his stuff and the top of the refrigerator was for mine. He could go in there and make his cereal, get him a juice, stuff like that, which is normal, for a kid, to do. Okay, did you notice your son behavior change once you moved in with Musa? After that day, yeah, how did it change? He got quieter. He had been a talkative kid, but he got quieter. And was this due to Musa's interaction with him? No, it was not. Did he like to talk and interact with the other kids? Yes. And there were a lot of other kids in Mr. Muhammad's house. Is that right? Yes. Did your son play and interact with the other kids that were about his age that lived in the house? At first he did, but Musa punished the kids so much to the point where he didn't communicate with them no more. Was that when you were living on Chola? Yes. And then did that change as well? Yes, it did. How did that change? Every so often, he would be in the corner sitting by himself, my son. He would be quiet. He would be sitting in the corner off to himself, and he would just sit there and be quiet. Okay, did that bother you? Yes, it did. So after that day, when you started noticing all these changes in your son, did anything else happen to make you decide that he was to leave Mr. Muhammad's house? I guess I decided that he wasn't going to live with us anymore, and I decided to send him to his father's family. I decided that he wasn't going to live with us anymore. That's what I did. What was the thing that made you ultimately decide that? Well, Musa would say that I was used goods. So you moved your son out of the house because Musa said you was used goods? Well, Musa would say that I was used goods because my son's father used me up. But you don't know why he said that, and all of us know why he said that. And he probably shouldn't have said that, but he said it because of what she told him about homeboy from outer space.
Yeah.
Okay, and I know personally what she said to him because she's said it to all of us. She said it to all of us because she had some concerns even with our mom being in a relationship with him because of the way he treated her. Okay, did that bother you? Yes, it did. So after that day, you decided that your son was going to move out. And what was the last resort that made you have your son moved out? When my son said I was used goods, and I couldn't have any more kids. This was before I got pregnant. And I said, excuse me, I said I had a baby after my son, and it's not by homeboy from outer space. So how am I used goods? So you and Mr. Muhammad started having some problems. And then what else happened to your son that made you decide, you know what, I'm not going to let him live here? My son got quieter. He wasn't talking anymore. I would talk to him, and if I talked to him in front of other individuals, he would not talk. So he wouldn't say anything. So I would take him in the room and he would speak. Did you ever see Musa get verbally abusive towards your son? No, I never seen Musa verbally abusive towards my son. Was Musa ever physically abusive to your son? No, he was not ever physically abusive to my son. Was he emotionally abusive to your son? No, he was not ever emotionally abusive to your son. Did he deprive your son of any food? No, he did not. So there you have it with the story that Laura been telling. That he did this to another family.
Yeah.
You know? Adrian, you remember after Mr. Muhammad got arrested at the Wanga house talking to police officers? Do I remember them talking to him? Do you remember talking to police officers? Yes. Okay, I'm going to show you a portion of a report and ask you to read it to yourself and ask you if this refreshes your memory about whether you ever heard Musa be verbally abusive to your son. If you could start this at page 4. And so she complies and read it. Does that refresh your memory? She says, no, that does not refresh my memory because I never said that. And I don't know where that came from. Do you remember ever saying this to any police officers that Musa was verbally abusive towards your son or in any way? No, I don't remember saying this at all. I never spoke or said anything about Musa doing any type of harm to my children. Do you remember when you were first moving? When you first moved in with Musa, was your son potty trained? Yes, he was. Okay, was he wearing diapers? No. How old was your son at the time? He was about 4 or 5. Okay, did he have a lot of accidents, urinating or defecating in his pants? No, he didn't. Did that change when you moved in with Musa? Yes, kind of, sort of it did, but that had nothing to do with Musa at all. That just had something to do with the change of him moving from his father's family to another family. He would have accidents, and when I would ask him, he just told me that he didn't know why he was having accidents. Okay, was this in the Wanga house or the Chola house? This was in the Chola house. He never lived in the Wanga house. And something I'm going to say too about the Wanga house. Laura got it so, and Lifetime got it so in the movie that this kid lived up there at that house when they didn't. And why Adrian is not speaking about that, and actually setting the record straight and telling the truth. It's okay to speak against this lady that have put these lies out there, because her son never lived in the Wonga house. He didn't.
And Chase, she just Adrian said that already. Why Julie keep trying to
I don't
repeat it?
know. I don't know.
Yeah, she said this already.
I don't know.
And Laura, I think Laura said something to Julie because they're trying to act like her son, was like Laura's son was doing. He was defecating on himself, all this stuff. They're trying to paint a picture. It's like it was happening to both of the children. Yeah, she's trying to paint a picture like it was happening to everybody, all the children. Yeah,
because both of those boys was, I think, well, he was probably a year older,
a little older,
than Adrian's son, but Laura is behind the scenes with the police and everybody, and what she's doing, they're allowing her to do a lot of talking, and she's pinning things on people. That's what she did to all of us. She did to all of us, pinning a whole bunch of stuff on us. He never went to the Wonga house. My son never lived in that home. So when he was at the Chola house, how was he not allowed to go to the bathroom? He was allowed to go to the bathroom. I don't know where that came from. How would he go to the bathroom? He would go into the bathroom with me. Okay. Is that one of the reasons why you sent your son to go live somewhere else? That is not one of the reasons why I sent my son to go live somewhere else. So when you got to the Wonga house, it was just you and your daughter. Yes. Were you pregnant at the time or no? She says, yes, I was. Okay. Did you think that things got better or worse when you went to Wonga house? They started to get worse after a while. Okay. You told us a little bit about the garage area where you ended up living, right? The 1-car portion. That was not a garage. That was a room connected on to the 2-car portion garage. Okay. And I believe earlier that you had said at some point, I think at Chola, the defendant stopped allowing you to cook big meals for the family. Is that right? Okay. So what did you use to cook on when you, why is that relevant again? Why is it relevant that he didn't allow her to cook meals no more? That don't even make sense.
They trying to get to the point that they trying to play it like he was starving everybody,
Right.
even, yeah.
No, he did not allow me to cook meals for his family, but I was able to cook meals for myself and my daughter. And then Julie says, Your Honor, if I could just get my exhibits, please. He says, yes, thank you. You can get them. Adrian, I'm going to show you a photograph previously marked as People's Number 7. It's going to come up on the screen behind you, okay? Does that look like what you used to cook on when you lived in the Wonga house? That wasn't my side. She tried to trick her up. Okay, but did you have something similar to that? Well, first of all, that wasn't my side over there. Okay, and would you cook food outside in the garage? Every now and then, but that wasn't my side that you showed. Did you want to use the kitchen? Yes. Did you ask to use the kitchen? Yes. What did Musa say? Sometimes he would tell me that Laura was in the kitchen cooking, which most of the time, Laura would be the one mostly occupying the entire kitchen. I rarely saw Musa's wife cook for her children in the kitchen. Most of the time, Laura was cooking in the kitchen. He claimed that she said she was cooking food and that she needed her time and her space to make meals for her and her children. Okay, now you said that was your side. Now you said that was your side of the garage. No, that was not my side of the garage. And that was not a garage. Okay, and you had talked previously about a door leading between your side and Laura's side of the garage. Yes. Okay, this is Exhibits 3. I'll ask you if you recognize this. That's the door to my side. Okay, and there appears to be some things sticking out of the door here and a couple of holes up there. Can you tell me what that is? Yes. Okay, what is that? it looks like there's a hold right there. Okay. Now, when you were living in the garage on the one car portion between your room and Laura's room, locked. My room was not locked, nor was Laura's room locked. Not that I can recall, my side was not locked. Was it nailed shut? No, it was not nailed shut. When did the nails come there? I don't know. I don't know how nails got there. I don't even recall there being nails there. Was that on your side? No, it was not on my side. I don't know what that is a picture of. So from your side of the garage where you would try to open that, would you try to open that door? There was no trying. I could open the door and go outside. So you could open the door and go outside. Yes, I could. Okay. And that was Musa's choice to cover your side of the door over there with a curtain. No, it was my choice to cover my side over there with a curtain for privacy. This lady really trying to trick her up.
So that's Julie questioner now?
Yeah, like I said, it's a lot. It's a lot. Not without permission. Was there a door that led from the inside of the house to your portion of the garage? Yes, I had to go through that side, through Laura's side, and then I could go in to the house to enter into the kitchen and the bathroom. And was that door locked? No, it was not at all. When he would leave it open on that side in the middle of us because we had our private times with each other and Laura was on the other side. Especially at night, I would close that door. Now, in your portion of the area, were there any bathrooms? No. What would you do at night if that door was locked? The door was not locked. This lady is crazy. The door was not locked. Okay, but what would you do at night if the door was locked? The door was not locked at night. Oh my gosh. If I had to go to the bathroom, I could go to the restroom. I had blue hospital pads. I had a lot of them because of me being pregnant and my back hurting. I would use those pads. That's what I would do. Because I couldn't really use anything else because I was pregnant. Okay, were there times that you had complained to Musa about not going to the bathroom? No. And how would he react if you complained about going to the bathroom? I didn't react. I never complained. It was Laura who complained all the time and would blame everybody else about not being able to go in the bathroom when she mostly used the bathroom more than anyone in the house. Wow. What about your children? When they needed to take baths and showers, did they have any running water on your side of the garage? No, we would go into the house. And what would you do when your children needed to use the bathroom? Well, my daughter didn't go to the bathroom. She was potty trained. So Mr. Morales says, Your Honor, plural was it. I'm confused. She's saying children when Miss Adrian did not have children that lived in the home. She had one daughter that was a toddler that wore diapers. So the judge states that the jury is to disregard that and strike it. I can rephrase that, Your Honor. And the judge said, no, thank you, Julie. Please do not rephrase that. What about when she needed to take a bath? I would get water and give her a bath in a baby's bucket in my room. Were you able to get showers? Yes, I was able to get regular showers. Did you ever ask Musa if you could give her a bath in the tub? Yes, I did. But most of the time, like I said, the bathroom was being occupied by Laura, but I was able to give her baths in the tub. What would he say? It would be something either wrong with the bathroom, either Laura had flooded the bathroom floor out, or he would tell me that the bathroom was being cleaned and it smelled of some chemicals, and I would not be able to take it because during my pregnancy, the smell of bleach and Comet would make me sick. Mm-mm-mm.
I thought Laura said she wasn't able to wash up or do anything.
Well, she
Seems like to me
penned
she was in the bathroom
everything.
all the time.
She penned everything that happened to so-called the made-up story she made up for herself. She pinned it on Adrian too. Because you remember what Joey Ruffin said when he was up here speaking 2 months ago? He said he asked Adrian about some of this stuff that Laura was saying, because some of the stuff, a lot of the stuff he wasn't buying.
Mm-hmm.
He said Adrian wouldn't say anything. She would just shake her head to things that he was saying, that she was saying.
Yeah, because I mean, you guys were in the garage there on Chola, and then she's talking about a movie Girl in the Garage. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And not just that, that's another garage you in. You guys were originally in her garage when you first went to live with her, you know, and, you know, put in the trunk of a car, drove across from one city to another city to a garage and put it in the garage. Now, and that was in another city, San Bernardino County. Now you're out here in Riverside County in another garage. And then now, next you know, you're back up at the house. Wow. She had dibs on she had dibs on whatever rooms that she pretty much wanted. And I guess she got mad at Adrian when he gave her the master bedroom, on Chola, right?
No, up in Awanga.
Up in Awanga?
I mean, on Chola, correct.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
correct. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then now here she goes again. Now she's up in Awanga, the house that she sought out and found that was in a rural area. And why is she looking for a rural area? Cover up her dirty deeds?
Laura is the one who found the house up in Awanga.
Yeah. That type of rural area, you know?
Yeah. Okay, at some point between living on Chola and moving into the garage at Awanga, did that situation change regarding your money? Yes. How did it change? Well, I really didn't need much money. He wasn't going out to do really anything. He didn't need much money, but I needed it. I needed it for certain stuff. I wanted new covers that I would like to have and go take some money out of my account. And then he would turn around and say he needed to borrow it. Okay. So then I ended up letting him borrow it, but I wouldn't get it back. That's a lie right there. When we get into the second part, we're going to elaborate more on that one. Okay, and did you ever have any cash on you at all? Rarely. And when you went to the store with Mr. Muhammad to go purchase groceries or items like that, would he always carry the money? Sometimes. Okay, did you ever see Laura pay for any groceries? Sometimes she'd pay for groceries. She had wads of money, but most of the time she wanted Musa to pay for all of her stuff. And when you were at the store with him and you would shop for items, did he let you pick out all the items you wanted? Sometimes. Who picked out the food? He did, or Laura would pick out the food for the family. Did you get to pick out how much food you wanted to buy? I tried to, but he and Laura, he would say reasons why I didn't need certain stuff because of the pregnancy, things that made me sick that I shouldn't have been eating and that I should have been eating healthy. Like what kinds of things would he tell you that you didn't need when you were pregnant? Like beef, anything that had beef in it, anything that was sweet. It was like those things made me sick. I would eat celery and a lot of vegetables, and I ate a lot of chicken and fruits, and he bought me a lot of orange juice. And some stuff I couldn't handle on my stomach. So what kinds of things did you eat?
Hold on a second. What's wrong with him trying to help her make sure she eat right because she's pregnant and that she gets sick with certain foods? Why is that a problem?
Really trying to make it look like it's something bad.
Who Laura was?
Julie is trying to make it look like it's something bad.
Yeah. The way she's asked questioning her. Oh yeah, yeah. But Laura had a lot of control. If she's talking about, what food to buy and oh boy, she's picking out mostly everything. That shows control. Him and
Yeah, we're
her
gonna get
had
into
major
it.
control.
But we're gonna get
Mm-hmm.
more into it though. She said, so what kinds of things would you eat? She said salads, roasted chicken. They sold at Albertsons. Remember the grocery store I showed you, Albertsons, where they
Yeah.
shopped there in the Wonga, and a lot of people that said that they saw Laura. So people gonna be testifying in their shopping.
Mm,
I would
mm.
eat that, and then I would eat bread a lot, a certain type of bread that I like. And when you would get to eat at Musa's house, did he get to eat as much as you wanted? Did you get to eat as much as you wanted? Yes, I did. Who controlled how much food you got to eat? No one controlled how much food I got to eat. How would he do that? Or did he do that? No, he didn't. By limiting the amount of groceries he would give me and give to his legal wife and his children. Who got the bulk of the food in the house? Laura got the most of the food in the house, and she was
Well,
the one
well,
who
well.
distributed. Look, and she was the one who distributed the bulk of the food to Musa's family and to me.
Mm, mm, mm.
But she getting
Showing
all
you,
the food. Hold on, she getting all the food, but dad got 11 kids up there. He got to feed, but she
I
getting up the
told you
bulk of
when
the
Keisha
food.
was online and it's in here before we even got these, we
Hmm.
already knew. Even Adrian's going to talk about how Laura would go in the grocery store and Keisha would go with them, and Keisha would have one basket to put food in for 11 kids. And Laura had one kid, right? And
Hmm.
herself, and she would have 3 to 4 baskets.
I've witnessed her having more than four
I know
baskets.
you
So
did.
many baskets, it was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So there you have it. Live transcripts from me.
He says, showing you People's Exhibit 6. Okay, I know you said earlier this was not your side of the garage, right? So do you recognize that refrigerator, though? Yes, I do. Whose refrigerator was that? That's Laura's refrigerator. Now, here we go. She the fifth person.
I didn't have a refrigerator, Doctor
Yeah.
Phil.
She lied to Dr. Phil and said she didn't have a
Right.
refrigerator.
Over and over again. On Dr.
Yeah.
Phil. She said it many
Okay,
numerous
did you
times.
have a refrigerator that looked like that on your side? And Adrian said, no. I had a refrigerator, but mine was smaller. She had a huge, big double door refrigerator, and mine was smaller. Okay. Was it like a little portable refrigerator? No, it stood about where I'm sitting, about past 3 feet tall. Miss Morales, Your Honor, the record should reflect she held her hands approximately 4.5 feet apart. And then the judge said, ma'am, do you think is it 4 feet tall? Would you estimate the refrigerator on your side? Because I can't really tell. I'd say from where I'm sitting to the floor to the height of this desk right here to the floor. The depth is the one measurement of, I don't really have the length, but about that size. How about 4 feet tall? And she states about that. Mm-mm-mm. And she said
How
it was,
tall was that refrigerator?
I don't know. I don't remember. But I
Okay.
know they both had
Okay.
refrigerators. But Laura had a big
Yeah.
old double door, huge refrigerator.
Yeah, but
And
a
so
double
she
door. I
said,
never seen a double. Was it a
huh?
double? It wasn't a double door mini refrigerator, was it?
No.
It was a double door regular refrigerator. It's probably about 5.5, 6 feet tall.
Well, that's what she said.
Okay.
Because Julie is trying to say
Yeah, trying to
that
shrink
the
it.
refrigerator that was shown in the picture was Adrian's refrigerator. And Adrian is telling her, because see, Julie's trying to make a point for Laura. She's trying to show that the lies that Laura actually told, she's trying to cover for her because she see the stuff in the trial like, hey, you did have a refrigerator, but you wrote in the letter you didn't. Even the police report, Marilyn Crawford said that Laura wrote in the letter she didn't have a refrigerator, but she said she got there, she had a refrigerator.
And that's from that letter she sent in the post office to Marilyn Crawford, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what? So that was what you had on your side, right? She says yes. Okay. So when you would come back from the grocery store, then with Mr. Muhammad, how would the groceries get distributed amongst all the ladies in the house? She said he had Laura distribute the groceries, or sometimes his oldest daughter would, but it was rare. It was Laura mostly who would distribute all the groceries towards everybody in the house. Okay. Because I think I went to the grocery store maybe once or twice, but most of the time it was him and Laura who was going to the grocery store all the time together and buying groceries. Okay, so there were a lot of times when you weren't even present to pick out what you thought you needed for your daughter and yourself sometimes, but also it was it was the legal wife. She could not pick out foods that she wanted for her children because Laura complained all the time about what she wanted and what she was going to take. And once those groceries got home, just whatever they decided you were going to be given, you got, right? Yes. What if you ran out? Then he would go to the grocery store a couple times more and buy groceries for me and would take Laura with him to buy even more groceries. Okay. And he would make rice pudding. He made turkeys. He made sweet potato pies. He made greens, which was something I really liked. His wife made tuna, and I would eat that too as well. Mm. Okay. Or sometimes it was a meal that his wife made tuna and crackers with a vegetable salad, and I would eat that. Okay. And what about blank? So all of the wives, in your opinion, were eating really well at the house, right? Guess what she says? She said all the adults in the house ate. Okay, what about the kids? She said a lot of the times the kids did not eat anything at all, but every adult in the house ate all the time. And
And
is this,
let's make this clear. When we talking about kids, we talking about Musa's kids.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And when you mention, look, she's gonna say that. And when you mention the kids rarely ate, what kids rarely ate? She states Musa's kids. And did Laura eat? She said Laura ate all the time, sometimes before everybody in the house. Okay, when you talked to the police officer after Mr. Muhammad got arrested, do you remember talking to him about the ages of some of his kids? Yes. Okay, and do you remember being surprised by some of those ages? Yes. Okay, for instance, I think that Sergeant Zirko told you that Sharon was about 17 years old. Did you remember that? Yes. How old did you think she was? I thought she was about 10. Have you ever heard Mr. Muhammad misrepresent the ages of any of his children to anyone else when he was asked about it? Yes. And how did that happen? That frequently happened. I just remember it happening frequently. And one time I remember he misrepresented the age to me and told me that the twins was the same age as my son, and then I found out that they were 7 years old. Wow. So this was at Hollywood Videos where we were picking up videos. And who was present at Hollywood Videos? It was me and my daughter and Laura with her daughter, and we had went to go get movies that night. And Musa was showing pictures of his children, and he had stated to one of the Hollywood video ladies that he had twins. And when she asked how old they were, he said that they were 4, and they was really 7. Okay, and Sharon was not the only one that looked a lot younger than she really was, right? Right. Who else do you remember being surprised about? I was surprised about actually all of their ages in the house. And how old was your son at the time? He was about 4 or 5. Okay, did you come to learn how old Nkosi and Chikosi was? Yes, I did. How old were they at the time when the defendant was arrested? They were about 8 or 9. Who else did you remember being small? It was Sharon, Marlon, Christopher, Michael, Curtis, and even some of his teenage girls. They were tiny for their age. Did you ever see any of the children that we just talked about? For instance, the twins or Sharon or Christopher be physically abused by Mr. Muhammad? I never seen Mr. Muhammad abuse any of his kids, but I heard him always say that he was going to whoop them. I don't remember which ones they were he was going to whoop, but he would always mention he was going to whoop them. Okay, so he was whipping 3 children, right? He was going to, he was in the process to start. Okay, and why do you say he was in the process to start? You knew that he was going to beat his children and you didn't do or say anything about it, did you? She said, no, I just didn't interfere. Well, why you didn't ask Laura all them questions?
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Well, Laura was controlling the food and all that kind of stuff and who could eat. And then she already knew if Adrian was testifying that you guys weren't eating specifically, she knew you guys weren't eating. She knew her kids was eating because she had a double door refrigerator jam-packed with food. And she would go up and down that mountain so much to go to the stores. It was ridiculous. And I was asking, I said, man, why are you going to the store so much? This is ridiculous. So that was my personal experience of seeing, you know. So this, I mean, here it is again. This she's in Hollywood Videos. She must have been over in Hollywood Videos writing a movie for about you guys being in the garage and figure she gonna change the girl to her being in the garage. So they didn't put Hollywood Video Night in the movie.
Nope.
You know, so it's just a lot. It's a lot of different things that's going on here that's really exposing Laura and the authority position that she had. She had say so on. I mean, she had him on a string. She had his nose wide open, leading him around with a gigantic hula hoop. Whatever she wanted to do, he would. For some reason, he would jump whatever she wanted to get done. Go ahead.
Okay, and what was Mr. Muhammad doing? He was standing about 4 feet from them. Did he have anything in his hand? I don't recall. Okay, so when you saw the kids laying down on their stomachs with their feet up in the air, what children did you see? I saw all of the children. Meaning what children? I saw Musa's children, all of his children, and it looked suspicious because they were crying and they were screaming and they was.
Yeah, what happened?
I don't know. She kind of froze up. Something the
Yeah,
technical
she
difficulty.
froze up.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Just hold on, y'all.
Yeah, just 1 second.
With their feet up.
Hey, Crystal.
Mm-hmm.
You froze for a minute. I can hear you, but well, we couldn't hear you for a moment. You froze up. Your screen is froze, so um, I can hear you a little now. Just hold on, everybody.
Maybe she needs to go out and come in.
Yeah, tell her to try to do
Okay.
that.
All right. Okay, let me work on this. Mute your sound for a second.
No, I'm back in. I'm back in.
Oh, but you're still froze up on the screen.
I know.
Yeah, you're frozen on the
Hey,
screen.
can you see
Okay.
me? Okay, sorry
I
about
can
that,
see, but you
guys.
just frozen. That's your screen. That's
Yeah,
all.
little
I can hear
interruption.
you.
Sorry about that. Okay. Okay, so she said, Adrian, and Ash, I wanted to ask you if this helps refresh your recollection. Okay, it's that same report that we looked at earlier. She says, okay. Can you hear me, Rick?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. So he says, Mr. Morales says, Your Honor, I would object. She says she had no recollection to that report, so it's a lack of foundation. So the judge says, overruled, lack of foundation. This is regarding that particular incident that she just testified about. Okay, can you continue? Okay, if you could just read from the paragraph below. Did you have an opportunity to read the section? And Adrian says, yes, I did. Okay, now does that refresh your recollection about whether you actually saw Mr. Muhammad hitting his children on the feet? No, it doesn't. I saw him hit them. I've seen him hit them on the feet before, but not during this specific time. I didn't. It doesn't ring a bell. Most of the time, I heard or I would hear him say that he was going to whoop them, or I would hear them crying and screaming. You have to understand he had curtains up at the entryways. So there were curtains up at the entrance. So I would hear him tell the children to get down on their bellies and hold their feet up. And then there was a few times where I actually saw him hit his children. And were you at the Awanga house? Were you mostly in the garage? No. Okay, but you said you could hear things. When I was in Awanga, no, I could hear things at Chola because the house when you were living at the Chola house, the kids crying and him getting on them. Okay, when you say that he was getting on them, what kind of things would he be getting on them for? He would be getting on them because Laura would consistently tell Musa that his children were stealing food. And they would also get in trouble for not reciting their prayers or doing their prayers. One time he told me it was about somebody had stole his money and flushed it down the toilet. And then another time he was mad because somebody ate his yams. You hear that, Rick?
Yeah, I hear you.
Somebody ate the famous yams. It looked like I froze, huh?
Yeah, your screen froze, but I can hear you.
Okay. Let me know if you can't hear me.
You all good. Keep going.
Okay. Okay. When you say that he was getting on them, what kind of things would he be getting on them for? For stealing food or not doing their prayer? Or Laura would consistently tell that they were stealing food all the time? Or either he told me one time he was mad because someone flushed his money down the toilet, or they ate some of his yams. And what would happen when he would get mad at somebody for taking his food? I would hear him getting on them, and sometimes I would hear licks. Okay. And when you say you heard licks, what do you mean by that? Them getting hit. And would you hear the kids crying about after they would get hit? Yes. Did you hear those things happen often when you were in Chola? Yes, I did. Can you hear me, Rick?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, you good.
Okay, because at the time I was going back and forth. Okay, so you weren't at the home a lot on Chola, right? Right. Did you ever see any of Mr. Muhammad's children stealing food? One time it was in Awanga. I was asleep and Marlon came and I heard a noise and he had went in my refrigerator, and instead of taking the whole loaf of bread in the bag, he took all the bread out of the bag and ran with it. And what did you do? I went and told Musa on him. And what did Musa do? Musa whipped him. So why did you go tell Musa on a starving child? Rick, you hear this?
Yeah, but why she ain't ask Laura all that
Why you
stuff?
didn't ask Laura that? Why didn't you ask Laura that? This is crazy. So you saw Marlon run out of your room with a whole loaf of bread, and then nobody could find him, right? Do you know how long he was gone? I don't know exactly. I'd say about 3 hours, okay? And what happened when he got back to the house? I have no idea, okay? And you weren't there. No, I was there, but not in the house. I was in the garage area. Do you recall ever seeing the defendant hit his kids on their hands? No, I don't recall. Okay, do you recall ever hearing Mr. Muhammad tell his kids to fight each other? I heard him one time tell the girls to fight each other. And did they do that? They went in the room. So as far as me seeing, I heard them beating each other up because he would make them beat each other up. Did you ever see Mr. Muhammad instruct his children to stand facing walls and make them stand there for long hours of time? Yes. Did that happen a lot? Yes, it happened a lot. For example, one time we left home, me, Musa, and Laura left the house at around 8:30 in the morning, and we returned at around 8 o'clock at night, and they were still standing up.
Wow.
Mute your screen and then refresh it.
It seemed like it seemed like it was a long time because I remember them standing up in the hallway all of those hours. Well, okay. And that was it right there.
Okay.
We ran into Mr. Morales' testimony.
Okay.
So that was it.
Take a 2-minute break to refresh the screen. So you get it.
Okay, Rick.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to take a 2-minute break and refresh this screen.
Okay. All right. We'll
We
take
can get
a
into
break
our...
right quick.
Huh?
Yeah, side notes and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
You good? You good?
Okay, let me do that really quick.
Yeah, just hold on, everyone. I'm just waiting for Crystal to come back. She had issues with her screen.
Okay, so I refreshed the screen.
Okay. Still don't see you, but
Can you see me?
nah, I don't see you at all.
What?
I don't know what's going on.
Continue like this?
Say that again.
Do you want me to continue like this?
Yeah, just keep going. It's all good. Just
Okay,
keep
so
going.
we're going to go to the notes over here because, let me get over here to the notes, our sidebar notes.
Yeah, Amber Woods wants to know why was Laura taking all the food?
Because she was greedy.
Yeah.
She was greedy, that's why. Okay. So we're gonna go to the notes starting up at the top if you follow me.
Okay.
Sidebar notes. Okay, so there was a conversation had with Adrian before she left.
You went out again.
Oh gosh, really?
Yeah,
You
for a
see,
second.
can you hear me?
I can't see you. I can hear you, but I can't see you. And you went out right before you know.
Okay.
But continue.
Okay, so these are the sidebar notes. There was a conversation that was had with Adrian before she left California. She stated to Lakeisha, Tiffany, Sharon, me, and Marlon that she was sorry the way things happened, but that she did not have anything to do with it. Adrian said she knew Laura wrote that letter because she saw it and that she did not tell Laura. She told Laura not to lie about things that she had written. And Adrian said Laura told her, if you tell, you're going down with them. So, in other words, this lady was up there writing a letter because she knew how severe that situation was in the house with all of Musa's children, and she knew she was enabling it. So she figured she'd write a letter, you know, to help her.
She's been writing that letter for. She's been writing that letter for a while. Because didn't you say our uncle saw her writing it back in '96
Yep.
or '97, something like that?
Yeah. Our uncle said that she said in '96 she had been documenting our father and keeping track of things. And then another thing, going back to that clip you played at the beginning, if Adrian was held hostage or kidnapped or in some type of captivity, there would have been no exchange conversation between them. If they was bound and locked up in chains in different rooms, it wouldn't have been no type of exchange like that. And so, like I said, it was obvious living in that home that Laura was sitting up there hatching a scheme and making sure she documented all abuse of our family, then placed herself in the midst.
Yeah, you went out again. You there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Okay, say that again. Yeah,
I
say that
said
again because you went out for a
I
while.
said that it was just obvious for me living
Hmm.
in that house that Laura was up there hatching a scheme, making sure she documented all of the abuse and then placing herself and her children in the midst of it so people wouldn't believe she had her hands in the enabling portion of any of the physical abuse of any of us that was in that house. Because, like I said, I recall Adrian being not being able to leave California for 5 years and placed on some type of summary probation due to the state punishing her for her part in the home. On a regular basis, there was social workers present at the home keeping an eye on Adrian. They got their shots and all that.
Yeah, go back. Your audio was going out. Yeah, I don't know what's
Okay.
going on. Your audio tonight is kind of yeah.
And then also with reading the testimony, it just on the line up right when Laura testified and when Adrian testified, it seemed like that Julie was pushing Adrian into making sure her story matched up with Laura's testimony and that the lies matched up together with each other, just didn't align right. I believe Julie wanted it to be a situation where both those ladies were sitting up there saying, "Oh yeah, he did this to me. He did that to me." Adrian stated that she was never kidnapped. She said she wasn't starved. She said that Musa never beat her. These are storylines that Lord Cowan came up with.
Man, that's crazy.
Joey Ruffin being up here on this podcast, a Cleveland-based producer that spoke against Laura, and he stated on this channel in his own interview about a month ago or 2 months ago that Adrian never told him anything negative, nor did she support the storyline that Laura was giving everyone.
Wow. That's something.
So I'm just like, when you reading these transcripts, I know the internet is glitching account a little bit. So if everybody can kind of bear with us with this stuff, it's just when you dissect and you read all of this stuff, we coming across giving people the actual truth and answering your questions to what actually happened. And then don't be so harsh, just ask us a question, and if we can answer it.
Yeah.
So you don't have any facts. We're the facts, and we are the ones who have the facts.
Yeah. That's true.
So I'm gonna end it there.
Yeah, because you've been going in
I
and
know
out.
it's
I don't know
going
what's
in and
going
out. I
on,
could
but
see it, and we
yeah.
had an hour and
Yeah.
41. So
Yeah. But we're gonna do a part 2, everyone. So don't worry. We'll be back, and we're gonna do a part 2
yeah,
next week, and hopefully everything be flowing then. But all right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week.
good night.
Stay for this clip, everyone.